Good morning, everybody. Quieter in the shrine room today, just 4 of us, and quieter on Zoom at the moment, just joined by Helen, although it's not unusual on Saturday for a few people to drop in late. It looks like that might be Sharon pulling up, so I wonder if the bell goes, if someone's happy to go out and answer the door. Yeah, welcome everybody. A friend of mine, Mikey, was telling me about some Buddhist books they'd been reading recently and how they contain 2 kinds of stories. The one kind of story, somebody approaches Buddhism, learns how to practice, does the practice, and their life is turned around. Something miraculous happens. They're able to forgive people that have wronged them. They become compassionate. They become better human beings. And the pages of the books are full of this sort of transformation, ordinary people becoming Buddhas by the sound of it. And the other sort of story is people practice for 30 years and they're still human beings and they're still a bit miserable and nothing really changes. And how do we reconcile both of these different experiences? I think part of the answer is probably just in the person who's telling the story is using it to meet their own needs, but there is something important here. And it's the sort of thing that we are exploring in the Brighter Temple when we say, on the one hand, we want to support people to find their own inner Buddha nature. And on the other hand, we want them to really meet their human nature. Both of these things exist in the same lifetime. It is true that people make progress and change and become different, although that often takes hard work and feeling deep feelings and feeling grief and letting go of things and is a real process. But we do come out the other end a bit different. It's easier to be kind. It's easier to forgive most of the time. And at the same time, in my experience anyway, there's not a place where we reach where we go, oh, it's all sorted now. It's still easy to fall back into miserable states, regardless of how long you've been practicing for. Something changes in our life, or we encounter some tragedy or loss, or some conflict. And that creates powerful feelings again in us. And then there's more work to do. So we're holding both of these in mind when we think of what it means to walk on a spiritual journey. That there is a place deep within us that is full of love and compassion and kindness. And that there are also these pockets of greed, hate, and ignorance. I once heard an analogy to meditation like a pond. The one the Buddha uses is like a glass or a jar that is shaken up. All the time you're shaking, all the time you're shaking. And when you meditate, you put the jar down and everything settles to the bottom. And the water is clear. But of course, if you're in a pond or a swamp or something, what happens at the bottom is that occasionally there's a buildup of gases or bacteria creating things. And then you get this bubble of something noxious coming to the surface. in some ways, that's quite a helpful image to me. Oh, there's this clear space, but there's still these noxious bubbles that are going to erupt every now and again. So there's something of a meeting here between the two styles of practice, which became known as self-power and other power. Self-power being this idea that we can, through our own effort, make some progress. Other power being the idea that we have to rely on something outside ourselves in order to become transformed. And in Japanese Buddhism, that idea is taken, in medieval Japanese Buddhism, that idea is taken to the point that in this lifetime, there is no transformation that's possible because you're too full of greed, ill will, and ignorance. But if you rely on this other power, at the point of death, you will be taken to the Pure Land. And my lived experience of spiritual practice is somewhere in between. There are some things that I do that make a difference, but mostly the difference they make is to show me that my calculating mind can't get me anywhere. But occasionally, doing formal practice creates the conditions for something else to appear, big mind, the Pure Land, the Buddha, something beyond what can be achieved by the calculating mind. So it is possible in this lifetime to have an experience of deep, profound, settled heart that is kind and loving. And also to be completely human and then trip up in the next moment into some reactivity. So I think the gift of spiritual practice is twofold. One, that there is genuine letting go. Not that that's happens like that, but it does happen. And there is progress, and we can look back and think, I can look back and think, oh, actually, I'm doing better than I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And there will always be something else to work with, something else to engage with, something else that I react with in an unskillful way. And in those moments, what my practice allows me to do, sometimes when it's happening, mostly afterwards, is to take that sideways step and be with my own foolishness a little bit more gracefully. Oh yeah, this is how it is to be human. To find some self-compassion for the one who is messing up again. So that's what's on my mind this morning, that that progress, something like progress happens, and then we trip up again. And yet, as well as all of that, there is this this possibility of grace, of kindness in the midst of that unfolding. No need to be. So we'll just sit quietly together. So we'll chant together this morning the Tibetan mantra to Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light, Om Amidewa Re. 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 Om Amitevari. 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 Om Ami Devari. 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 Let's just have 4 or 5 minutes of quiet again. So in a moment, I will lead us through the refuges and precepts. If you want to read them, I've put the link in the chat box so you can see them all written down. Otherwise, please repeat after me. For refuge, I go to the Buddha.
For refuge, I go to the Buddha.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
For refuge, I go to the Dharma.
For refuge, I go to the Dharma.
Namo Dhammaya.
Namo Dhamma.
For refuge, I go to the Sangha.
For refuge, I go to the Sangha.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Sangha.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
we pray that we may not take life.
we pray that we may not take life.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
we pray that we may not steal.
we pray that we may not steal.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
we pray that we may not fall into sexual misconduct.
we pray that we may not fall into sexual misconduct.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
we pray that we may not fall into wrong speech.
we pray that we may not fall into wrong speech.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
we pray that we may avoid intoxication.
we pray that we may avoid intoxication. Innumerable sentient beings,
We vow to save them all.
inexhaustible are the deluded passions.
We vow to transform them all.
Immeasurable are the Dharma teachings.
We vow to master them all.
Infinity is the Buddha's way.
We vow to fulfill it completely. So in a moment, we'll stand and make our 3 prostrations to the Buddha. If you're on Zoom and you have a Buddha in your room, please make your 3 bows to that Buddha along with us. But there's also a Buddha on the screen, of course, so you could just point yourselves at that if that's easier. In gratitude, we offer this incense to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout space and time. May it be as fragrant as earth herself, reflecting our careful efforts, our wholehearted awareness, and the fruits of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true hope. So do unmute if you're on Zoom, and we'll read the closing verse. Blessed by Amitabha's light, may we care for all living things and the holy earth.
Very nice.
Funny. Joining us. And we're